The Canadian Museum for Human Rights is opening its doors to Winnipeggers this fall, and the Winnipeg Art Gallery is also welcoming the museum to the city with an exhibit here. Helen, can you tell us more about the exhibit and what people can expect to see here?
Sure. We've just opened this exhibit, Seeing Rights and Liberties, and the purpose of it is, like you say, to welcome the Human Rights Museum to the landscape of Winnipeg, but also it was a chance for us in curatorial to delve into the collection and select works that speak to human rights themes. It may not have been, first and foremost in the mind of the artist when they were creating the work, so for some it probably was. But it was a really interesting exercise for us to explore all aspects of our collection and come up with works that speak to the ideas of freedom of, say, religion or women's rights and feminist movement, or freedom of children, to be children, and the idea of both residential schools and other forms of abuse, or sort of issues that occur during wartime and workers' rights. It was a really interesting exercise. So the show resulted from that, and we're actually pretty happy with how it turned out.
Maybe you can tell us a piece that sticks out for you that you took from the collection.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, it was a collaborative affair, but some of the works that really struck me was the issue of sort of a right to a safe environment in which to live and to work. And there's some beautiful images by the photographer Edward Burczynski, which you can see on the walls behind me. They're quite large scale, and they're so wonderfully captured in terms of his ability with his camera to capture a mood and a theme. And they have an incredible beauty to them until you realize sort of what the image is of, and sort of imagine the working conditions for people there. And it brings a realization of some of the exploitation, not just of the landscape and the natural environment, but also of the workers.
And it's interesting how you do talk about how at first you look at it, it's striking, it's beautiful, but can you talk about the connection between human rights and art, and that how just the connection between the two?
Certainly. Well, when you think about communication means, we can talk about human rights, we can, arrange in groups and discussions and further it that way. But a lot of times visual art is a way to communicate that is beyond language. So people from various backgrounds, various different dialects and languages and that, it's sort of a universal way of communicating. So it's much more visceral, sometimes more emotional, more immediate often than text or written or oral language.
Perfect. Well, the Museum for Human Rights opens its doors this fall, but come down to the Winnipeg Art Gallery right now, check it out, and for more information you can visit weg.ca. Thank you so much, Helen.
Thank you very much.